Good morning time, good afternoon time, good evening time, whatever it is in your part of the world. Chriscrossingwires, and first off, I want to apologize to eWorld, the entire e-biking community, for the spectacle that occurred yesterday. After it was all said and done and I calmed down, I realized that that is not the direction that I want to take my channel, as far as outbursts and stuff, like what happened. First of all, I hope you guys understand that, had this happened and it was just between me and him, as it should have been, you guys would never even know nothing about it, because I battle and fight with trolls or, people all the time. This went to another level because this idiot chose to involve my wife. My wife had nothing to do with it other than the last time he tried to contact me, she answered a DM saying that I wasn't available, that I was working on a video at the time. So he took it upon himself to get angry and then, make little comments at her about, to her, total disrespect, like you should leave little Chrissy alone, blah 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 blah, I'm this and I'm that, and this is what even talking about it infuriates me. I mean, ooh, yeah. Let me tell you something about me. I'm very old school. I'm over 50 years old. I know it doesn't always seem that way because I don't carry myself like an old head, but I don't feel like an old head. But at the same time, do know, because I'm an old head, I don't invite problems or start trouble or cause confusion. But just know that if you do and you bring that shit this way, you're gonna get exactly what you're looking for. Now, I mean, I try my best to turn the other cheek, or just not intensify situations, but man, it's a little hard sometimes. Let me tell you something, just in case you have any doubts, any other troublemakers out there. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, West Side. I grew up there in the 70s, 80s, 90s. Okay? I was a little curly-haired kid that looked like I looked in one of the most vicious hoods in the United States. Make no mistake about it. I had to fight almost every day growing up. So smoke to me ain't no thing. You know what I mean? When I was younger, I was with that smoke. That's the way it was. I'm totally opposite now. That is why I'm trying to live the way I live. I moved myself out of the city, far away from all of that ash and trash in the concrete jungle. not only that, you know, when I was a young man, I was involved myself in everything I was big enough to involve myself in. You know, I've done pretty much everything you can do as far as bad, you know, illegal. I'm out that mob, for real. So, man, I really don't, anyway, I don't want to go on and on about this. I just want to apologize for what happened yesterday, and do know that it definitely wasn't something that I initiated. There's no way, I'm sure most of you guys, if somebody did that to your wife, your sister, or your mother, you would feel the exact same way I felt. Now, would you handle it that way? I don't know. But, yeah, I was with, he told me he wanted all the smoke. Yeah, I was going to give him all the smoke. Make no mistake about it. And because I am 50, understand, man, do know if you want to bring the smoke to me, I'm not with all that fighting no more. I'm too old for that. Don't think I can't still fight and I can't still scrap. But I'm not doing no fighting. So know if you bring that ash and trash, boy, I'm going to sit you down in the fastest way possible. What that is, you think about that. But I'm not playing. Just know that I'm not playing no games. All right. Sorry, I didn't want to start off like that either. But I just wanted to apologize. But as soon as I start talking about it, it makes me upset. Let's talk about this battery stuff now. All right, guys. So, one of the batteries that I'm building is actually going to be my prototype battery. Even though I made batteries in the past, I'm going to be making this battery an entirely different way. Because my personal battery is my personal battery, so I built that in a way that was best for me and would give me the maximum of everything I was looking for as far as low internal resistance, this, that, and other thing. Do know these batteries that I'm building will have a low internal resistance. They will be calculated correctly as far as all of that type stuff. The materials that I'm using will be the best, will give you the best possible current flow and least voltage sag and all of that. I'm going to build these batteries specifically for high current draw, competition racing packs in my mind, you know. I don't know what everybody else is building. They building great batteries, don't get me wrong. All those companies, Powerful Lithium, Lightspeed, Chai batteries, those people, they build excellent batteries. I'm not ever knocking none of those companies. Those guys are professional. They know what they're doing. Only thing I'm doing differently here is these batteries that I'm building. Not that I won't build regular batteries too, but I want these batteries specifically for the guys like myself that are going to run some crazy power levels, you know. So if you need a battery that can deliver 500, 600, 700, even 1,000 DC line amps, that's what I intend to do here at Chriscrossingwires. Now, my prototype battery is something I've been thinking about for a while. I wanted to build a battery that wasn't limited to just one specific voltage. Therefore, when you decide to upgrade in the future, you don't have to build another battery. So, the batteries that I'm going to build they will have a maximum ceiling with a high voltage, something possibly like 24S, 25S, 26S. That may be the ceiling. However, on my battery, I'm either going to have some connectors on the actual battery itself, where you can take your leads. These aren't the leads. I'm just using this for an example. Let's just say you have a set of leads like this, and this is for example only. Have a connector on it like this. On my battery, I want it to be so you can plug your set of leads into the highest possible voltage of that battery, be it 20, let's say it was a 24S battery, 25S, a high voltage battery, but you could unplug it from there and plug it into different voltages on that same battery. Because batteries have, you know, when you build a battery, it's in stages. You can put an output terminal at any of those stages. 20S, 21S, 22S, 24S, all the way down to 60 volts. Now, I'm not going to have a terminal at each and every stage, but the ones that people mainly use, you know, like 60 volts, 72 volts, 96 volts, 108, 120, like that. That's the pack that I want to build. A competition high voltage pack. Now, no matter what voltage you plug your leads into, the capacity will be the same, because the battery will have whatever amount of P that battery is. Let's say it's a 16P. If it's a 16P, no matter where you plug your leads in, 96 volts, 108, 120, it's still going to be 16P. Still going to have 16 cells in parallel. Okay? So that is what I'm going to build. Not only that, like I said before, it will also have an output possibly at 3S. 3S is 12 volts. So therefore you won't need a step down. 12 volts will be right there on your battery. Even if you need a little 5 volt output, that will be there. I want to have a one size fit all pack. It's going to have voltmeter on it so you can monitor the voltage. There will probably be some type of voltmeter on your leads so you know what the voltage is exactly where you're plugged into. I mean, I intend to figure all that out as I build this battery. And do know, like I said, when you build in a prototype, changes will be made as you go, you know, as you figure out what's the best possible method. So this particular prototype, yeah, like I said, I'm sure there's going to be some trial and error type things. Also, because it's a competition race pack, some of these packs will have no BMS on the output. Now there will be a BMS, and I'm going to use one like this possibly, because this particular BMS, no, it doesn't look big and huge and all that, because remember, like I said, this one is not for output high amps. However, this BMS is 180 amp continuous, 400 amp peak. All right, and it goes from where is it? That's on here, 10S to 24S. This particular BMS. Now, like I said, it doesn't have to be this one in all of them, but the reason why I like this one, like I said, this one works from 10S to 24S. So that means as far as charging goes, on the input side, the cells will be balanced. It's also Bluetooth, where you can monitor the cell voltages and everything to make sure everything is balanced out as it should be, and that you will have no issues as far as charging is concerned. So you know you won't, your battery won't be overcharged. All that will be accurate. Now, however, I said no BMS on the discharge, but it will be a BMS on the discharge, this one. Now, what my battery will also have is a standard stock output, which will be this, and I would probably set this one at 20S 72 volts, whereas though the same set of leads you can plug into the output from this BMS. So when you're plugged into this output, this output discharge is BMS protected, but only up to 180, 200 amps at 72 volts. So when you're riding around in stock mode, regular mode, group rides and all that, you're riding around on a regular battery with BMS protected on the output. However, when it's race time, you can remove the leads from this output and plug them into your high output 22S, 24S, whatever the top ceiling is on that battery. That's the plan for this competition race pack, this particular battery. Now, I'm also willing to build whatever battery you have in mind that you've created on your own. You know, if you have a hypothesis for a battery that you want made, and you're just not the hands-on guy, bring me your plan and I'll build your pack the way you want it built. Now, like I said, will all the packs incorporate what I just discussed? I like to incorporate that on the competition racing packs. I think all the racing packs, most guys would love to have, whereas though they have their leads plugged into the standard 72 volt side, 72 volts, 180 continuous discharge amps, that's normal riding all day long. That's still 12, 13, 14,000 watts right there. But when it's race time, bam, take the leads off, plug it in. Now, even though this will be on the 20S stage, even at that 20S stage, there will be an output terminal bypass. So 72 volts bypassed, and you'll get the full potential of that 16P battery as well. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you can run 72 volts stock side, BMS limited, 180 amps. You can run 72 volts, the full potential of that 16P, which is going to be about 800, close to 800 DC line amps. So yeah, that's what it is. So let me just show you a few things. What I'm going, well, it ain't really much to show, but this is the copper that I'm going to be using. I also have another roll of this. This is 0.2. I have a 0.3. It's much, well, it's a lot thicker. It's not as bendable as that, but there are going to be certain parts of the battery I'm going to need 0.3 for, like where the bus bars are and everything. But for the most part, throughout the series parallel connections, there will probably be 0.2, but 0.3 where it needs to be. I have 0.3 nickel and 0.2 nickel. You still got to use nickel for your, your nickel copper sandwich. And listen, there are ways that you do that. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and they think that you are, well, I'm not going to get into the technique of it. Everybody has their own technique as far as how you actually are doing your welding through your copper along with your nickel. But there's a reason why you have to still have the nickel along with the copper, but you're basically going to be fusing the copper to the nickel, and then where the cells connect to that is going to be on the nickel part, you know. So but the nickel and the copper will be fused together, so it's all electrically one connection. But obviously where you want to weld to the batteries, you'll be welding nickel to nickel. But as far as the current flow, the current will be flowing through the copper. All right. So yeah, you'll see a little more for sure. If you know, I'm gonna be posting the live streams to most of the build, but stuff like I was just talking about when it comes to techniques and the little small points and stuff that you need to know, that's what I'm going to be posting on my Patreon. You know, I can't show everything on YouTube when it comes to performance. We talking about speed, we're talking about tuning, and how I do what I do, all the little fine details, you know, the stuff you want to know, like how to tune this, and the field weakening, and which you know, what I'm running percentage wise field weakening, and you know, how to acquire all that, and you know, tuning and backdoor. And I can't give you backdoor access. That's on you. It's not like you know what I mean when I'm saying tips and tricks. That would be like giving you a login. Ain't nobody giving you a login, but at the same time, we can definitely show you technique. Some stuff you gotta accomplish on your own. You know, can't do it all for you. And like I said, especially when it comes to performance. Now I hear guys crying. Listen, when it come to repairs, you know, hall sensors and all the stuff on how to fix your bike, I never tried to hide any of that. That was the purpose of my channel, to show you how to accomplish that and do those DIY repairs on your own. Like I said, performance, this is a totally different thing. This ain't something I got to give up to you. This is, in most part, this ain't information that people need. This is information that people want. Okay, there's a difference between repair and performance. All right, so you know, performance is for the competition side of things. And yes, I'm not trying to educate and tip off people that are, you know, not supporters of mine wholeheartedly. You know, I'm pretty sure ain't no trolls going to be on my Patreon. Possibly they could, but I doubt that very seriously. So yeah, all the goodies, the Kentucky Fried Chicken recipes, like I was talking about, Patreon. Everything else, YouTube. All right, y'all. So before I actually get started on my battery build, I've got to do some planning as far as cell layout and all that kind of stuff, and you know, building, you know, putting the honeycomb connectors together and the pattern, like I said, the cell layout and all that. I got to do all that. You just don't jump in and start connecting cells. So you got to have a plan. So I'm getting ready set up my little plan and diagram and all that. And as far as my K-welder, look, man, my K-welder is going to have pretty much the maximum power it can have, at least that I'll be able to supply to it. Now, you can use capacitors along with your K-weld and give it a little bit more. But listen, I'm running my K-weld off a 3S 8P. That's right, 3S 8P moly pack. So 400 real amps DC amps going to my K-weld. So as far as the pulse, the surge, my bad, like I was saying, I should be getting close to that 2000 amp pulse from my K-weld. Now I gotta put some I gotta change these leads. I'm gonna use some QS8s and put some thicker gauge wire on there. That's what I'm getting ready to do now. And put some 8 gauge leads on my 3S 8P pack. So that's what I gotta do first. But yeah, my K-weld should be getting all the juice it needs. I was using temporarily using the little lipo packs, and the lipo packs were great, especially because I was using 2 of them. However, still, I would say not the strongest discharge amps that I could have. But man, you see it. 3S 8P moly pack. That should get that K-weld the juice to get loose. Man, it's all about amps, y'all. I know people like to throw voltage up in the mix, but volts and amps go hand in hand. If your volts aren't holding because you don't have enough capacity or discharge, those volts don't mean nothing. If when you need those volts, they're being snatched back from 12 volts all the way back to 6 or 7 volts, because you don't have the current, the battery bank to keep it up there. Now 3S 8P moly pack, 45 amps per cell. So roughly I'm pretty sure you can get 50 amps out of those mollies, 5 more amps. So we talking 400 amps. 400 amps at 12 volts, fully charged, 12.6 volts. If they're charged to their max, which is 4.2 volts, you get 12.6. So yeah, 12.6 volts that should be holding firmly at the maximum output. Worst come to worst, it may drop back, the 0.6 may drop back, but it will be holding at 12 volts all day long. So yeah, I don't know, we definitely don't need no 0 gauge on there, but I'm gonna put some either 4 gauge or 2 8 gauge wires on each, in which that should do it too. But yeah, what else? That's pretty much it, y'all. Like I say, gotta set up to do the cell layout and everything. And man, check this out, that little BMS I just showed you, and like I said, it's a nice one because it comes with the app and everything. Check out this display for that BMS. It's got its own voltmeter and everything. Man, that BMS, it doesn't look like it, but it's a nice BMS. So on this meter, it will tell you the volts, the amps, the watts. It gives you everything, the power output. So it's a pretty big meter, but it's going to be a pretty big battery. So yeah, this is what's going to be on the battery, or you can mount this on your bike depending on where you want it. I may just make it so this can be mounted on the bike. Like I said, it all depends on the actual build, you know what I mean? But this is what comes with that BMS I'm using, and I'll put a link in the description for that BMS for sure. But yeah, you're not going to find too many BMSs that can run multiple stages like that, 10S up to 24S. That's sweet. All right, so yeah, that's pretty much it. And as you can see, another important, man, when I'm building on batteries, I don't play no games. This battery stuff is dangerous. Accidents happen. As you can see, I got my fire extinguishers right there. Normally I had a bucket or something with some water just in case, man. Who knows? You can be welding. That's another reason why I didn't like welding too, because when you weld, you're putting a lot of current through batteries, possibly if the leads ain't on there properly or there's a short or something. So you can be welding on the cell and make a mistake or accident some kind of way and run that current through that cell, and that thing go into people don't think you can have thermal runaway from welding, but you can. When you weld, stuff gets hot. That's why the leads on these welders get hot. That's why they have that little silicone boot on there, and that doesn't even help out when you're doing a lot of wire welding. They have this other piece that I'm going to put on there that, you know, insulates your fingers when you're holding that thing. But yeah, man, I always got something, a Duncan pail where if some cells act crazy and start going up, I'm going to dunk it right in the Duncan pail of water. And I got fire extinguishers there. I got 2 more in there. Man, you got to take precautions when you're dealing with this battery stuff. You know, it happens accidents happen even to the best of us. I was telling you guys one time about soldering and having a good iron when you're soldering stuff that's heavy, like this 0 gauge wire. That thick wire in there, man, you can't solder that with no Mickey Mouse iron. This Weller right here, although it's only 80 watts, notice the tip in this thing. Now, what also makes for a good soldering iron is the amount of material that's in the tip, the weight. This iron, this thing is so heavy because this tip is so dense and heavy. The amount of copper or whatever this tip is made out of, I believe it's copper and steel, it's heavy. So what that allows, that holds the heat. If you don't have a heavy, thick tip like that, when you put your soldering iron on whatever you're soldering, the heat is extracted from a little small tip quickly. So there's no way you could solder a big heavy gauge wire like that, because it would pull all the heat from that little skinny tip. This tip is so heavy, like when I have this gun plugged up, and let's say I wanted to solder something outside, I could unplug this thing, take it outside. Even after 3 or 4 minutes, it's still hot enough where I could solder stuff being unplugged 3 or 4 minutes, because this tip and the body of this iron together is so thick and heavy, it holds that heat. So you got to have a heavy duty soldering iron when you're soldering heavy gauge wire terminals, putting connectors on, or even if you're soldering cells, like I was soldering cells, and people was talking about, oh, it gets you heat the cell up because you have to leave it on there too long. Nah, not when you got an iron like this. Yes, it gets very hot, but it also solders quickly. So and it's soldered and the heat is off. Heat never reaches the inside of the battery. Doesn't have time to. The little Mickey Mouse iron, you got to hold it on the battery for 30-40 seconds before you can actually solder. Of course, that's going to heat the battery up. So it's all about what you're using, your equipment. Make sure you have the right stuff when you're doing this stuff, man. Have the right supplies, the right components, the right tool for the job. All right, y'all, I done ran my mouth enough. Take it easy, take care. Crisscrossing wires. Be looking out for these battery bills. Peace.